What's up, nerds, and welcome to the Stix&Crits podcast. I am one of your hosts, Thomas King.
And I'm affectionately known as the other host, Nate Powers. How's it going?
You are not affectionately known as anything.
You know what? My mom would disagree with you. Hi, Mom.
Okay.
Today we got a good show for you guys. We're going to start off in our video game segment with Bethesda. What the hell is going on over there with those guys?
Fucked. They're all fucked.
Yeah, and then in our tabletop segment, we're So let's kick things off with our good old friends.
Fucking Bethesda.
Bethesda.
I have a lot of bones to pick with them.
Yeah.
Especially as of late.
I would like to agree with you. I've always been a Bethesda fan up until all of this Fallout 76 debacle. And with it, the game basically failing and falling apart within like
That'd be like an understatement.
a month of its release.
Not even. Like,
yeah,
same
it's like
day.
3 weeks.
So
Same day there was a patch that was about as big as the whole game.
Yeah,
but
yeah. That's so. Let's hammer out some of these problems that these guys have had so far.
Well, again, let me get back to my point here. I've always been a Bethesda fan. I've always liked the games that they've put out, and but ever since Fallout 4, everybody's been slowly losing their faith in Bethesda and pointing out all the glaring issues that they've had all along, and the fans have just kind of ignored. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I always thought, Bethesda will come around. They ported over the same engine for Fallout 4 and just tweaked it, and I could see them, we're trying to save some money, but we're trying to put out a good game. And then they threw 76 out, and now I have no faith in the company at all, at least in their integrity, until they do like a complete overhaul of everything that they've been doing for the past like 4 years.
Yeah, at least. This all kind of started with when they ported over Skyrim from the last gen to this gen, because what they did, and this kind of rings in Fallout 4 as well. They built Skyrim for the next gen. That was their initial thing. They ported it over just to see if they could do it.
Right.
And they were able to do it. The problem started right at that point when they decided to cut out Elder Scrolls, and that's how they built Fallout 4. Was on top of that build.
Right. They're like, oh, it was successful. The sales numbers were great. The product was, hailed. People are modding it and reusing it. It was so popular with the re-release. And everybody jokes like, oh, how many times am I going to buy Skyrim in my life? But
5 times.
It's kind of disgusting because we let them do this to us, and it's kind of the gaming industry just in general right now.
Yeah, but that's
But you kind of have to talk about it when you're talking about Bethesda, because every company right now is taking full liberties with what they're allowed to do monetarily, and
they're taking advantage of their consumers.
Yeah, and they're not innovating anymore. At least not these big AAA. Most of them, anyway.
Yeah, most of them are not doing shit besides adding in addictive gambling. And I mean, I'm sure at this point everybody's seen all the algorithms that Activision had.
Right.
Like they're literally building algorithms to make you want to purchase things that you can't obtain in game.
And then they have a patent on it, so no one else can do it, like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So, and if any of you guys watch Jim Sterling, I would definitely recommend going and checking out his latest video on Fallout 76. He does a much deeper dive than we're going to do, but and more specific topics, but it just rings home. Everybody's talking about this, and like, why did we let it get this bad, Tom?
Yeah, I think we let it just get this bad because everybody has been kind of nostalgic about Bethesda lately, and most gamers, I think at this point, don't give a shit if they could buy something. So if they're able to skip ahead and buy something as opposed to trying to earn it in game, that's kind of where some of the problems are stemming from. We knew, like, the writing was on the fucking walls. This isn't oh, surprise, like, we're gonna take advantage of you now. No, they've been slowly maneuvering to get into this position for years, and they have. And in Bethesda's case, it's been with the Creation Club and DLCs, cosmetic skins,
VR versions.
Yeah, like you name it, Bethesda's doing it. And they're just taking advantage of these gamers that are willing to open up their wallet if it means, hey, maybe on my next 500-hour playthrough through Skyrim, I can like cut an hour or two off,
right,
by buying this or that. Or same thing goes for ESO.
ESO, I don't think is
it's not being as affected
because
as everything else.
Of the MMO market just in general, and Blizzard already kind of ruined that.
I don't know if it's necessarily the MMO market. I always say when I talk to people about Bethesda, they will not fuck with Elder Scrolls.
Well,
that's their flagship. That's like it always gets Game of the Year. It's always the best-selling game. They can port it to multiple platforms. They could literally go backwards in time and put it on shit, and people will buy it. So they know that if, for example, like there's a lot of talk that people are saying they're gonna fuck up Elder Scrolls 6 because they're gonna continue using the engine, the same engine they've been using for a decade, the creation engine. But I don't think it's true. I know that they've updated this engine.
Right, and you can tell from the cinematic. I guess it's kind of a trailer. The cinematic
trailer matches the animation style of the Elder Scrolls trailer that I showed you today that dropped, the Elsewhere trailer. It matches that to a T. So, I mean, that's not always a great indicator, but at the same time, it could be an indication that they are taking a step in the right direction.
Well, didn't they say that the trailer that they showed was in-game footage and not a cinematic?
For Elsewhere?
For 6.
That's what it's stated.
That's what they stated.
But so, I don't know if I fully believe that.
You have to somewhat, and obviously they've given us reason to doubt, but you do kind of have to hold them to their word on those things, because they did the same thing with 76, and the gameplay footage they were showing is the same. It's just all of the fucking server errors and the hacking. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard about this. A couple other people have reported on it too. The newest problem Fallout 76 as of this recording is hackers have found their way into the developer room, and what they're doing is they're extracting in-game assets and selling them online for $5, $10, $15, $20 a pop. People are getting rich off of this, and this is actually a thing that has happened in like World of Warcraft and all the older MMOs for the longest time. Now the way that's around it is they take out the in-game marketplace, and people are just selling things that they grind for in-game, and so the market is a little subdued. But when you have this level of just like breaching in your security system, and not to mention they're like reaching out to the hackers asking them how they did it.
See, that's
insane.
That's the problem, is that you know when a game's been cobbled together as quickly as physically possible, because these fucking guys left. Not only did they leave the developer room in there, they have no idea.
Yeah, they left it on the public servers, which was their first.
They have no
mistake.
idea how to fix the problem.
Yeah,
like at all.
They weren't prepared, and it just goes to show you what their philosophy has been for putting out games for the past 4 years, really since after New Vegas. Because New Vegas, I would say, was a great complete game upon launch. Obviously, it had the standard Bethesda glitches that come with all of the games. But it wasn't, that's kind of been their thing. It's like their games are a little buggy when they come out, but the games are so rich and the gameplay is so tight that we tend to forgive them a little bit.
Yeah, it's because of that content that comes with it.
Exactly.
Like the simple dialogues you can go have with somebody walking down the street.
Yep.
And then it just grows exponentially from there.
Yeah, but now they've kind of given everybody the middle finger and really have this arrogance about them. Like, you'll buy our game regardless. You'll buy all this in-game stuff.
And that comes from the money they made off of Skyrim, and then leading into purchasing all these other devs.
And Fallout 4 was actually pretty successful.
So now you're talking about them, like they have, not only do they have Elder Scrolls and Fallout, okay, they have Dishonored, they have Doom, they have Wolfenstein, and they have Prey. That's insane. You're talking about these massive titles from the late 90s that they're all bringing back, which is why...
Well, Wolfenstein between 2014 and 2016, the two that they released are really good games.
Yeah, they're great.
They're really good games.
But that's because Bethesda is publishing those titles, and they're being developed by the teams.
Yeah.
As opposed to the other way around, which is odd because it seems that Bethesda Softworks, from everything that's been happening, Bethesda Softworks seems to be the problem, because when ESO came out, it was a fucking mess. It was an absolute fucking shit show. The game had continuity errors. There was server issues. There was lag. That you were.
It seems like every game has server issues now.
Right, but that was done by ZeniMax.
Right.
That was developed by ZeniMax and published by Bethesda. Then, about 6 months into it, Bethesda had to come in, rewrite a whole bunch of shit, And then over the next 6 months to a year, they basically released patches that fixed the game in totality.
And the game is a lot of fun. I haven't been playing it lately, but I wanted to get back into an MMO.
Oh, it's great.
Just to see if I like it. And I really do like ESO.
I'm still holding to it, and I used to play WoW.
I think their marketplace.
I think it's the best MMO out right now.
No,
offers,
it's not.
Yes, it offers the best bang for your buck.
Dude, listen, as someone who's been playing MMOs a really long time, I mean, I've been playing MMOs since I was 13 years old. I started with WoW, and still there hasn't been an MMO that can reach up to WoW's standards, and that's because their development team is so experienced, and they're really broad. They get the funding because that is, whether we want to agree to it now or not, that has been Blizzard's cash cow, and that's why Activision, or that's why they were able to buy out Activision, because of all of this money they're getting from subscriptions and DLCs. I mean, they were putting out a DLC every year for 5 years in a row.
Sure.
At $40-$30 a pop. And I mean, and there's always growing, and the game is still growing. And now you have
it's not still. It died off for a while there.
No, it's still growing. I mean, the percentages of increase are down.
It died off for a while. I remember it was in I believe it was 2014. They dipped below 10 million for the first time in years, and then
right, I do remember that
they hit about 7 or 8 million. It was Burning Crusade.
No, that was Pandera.
Whatever. It was after Pandera. The whatever the name was. I always forget the fucking name of it. 2016.
2016 was
Burning Crusade.
No, because it's Vanilla.
Lich King.
It's Vanilla, Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Pandera, and then
that they also brought in the vanilla. You could play vanilla style again.
You could, yeah. That's one of the biggest trends.
All those vanilla servers.
Yeah, that's what's trending now is vanilla servers. Which I haven't tried out yet, but it seems like a lot of fun. All my friends are back on it.
That's totally way off topic.
No, but what I'm saying is, as someone with a lot of the MMO experience, I see a lot of these mistakes being repeated by all these companies getting into the MMOs because they don't have the long track record like Blizzard does. And ESO, I think their marketplace is one of the worst, one of the most toxic marketplaces you could have for an MMO. I mean, Diablo, when they brought in the Diablo marketplace for Blizzard, they immediately got rid of it because they saw that, oh shit, all these same things that were happening before are going to happen again. Mm-hmm. And they were smart enough to put their greed away and, make the game fun because people are eventually not going to play it and they're not going to buy DLCs. I mean, like, DLC money for games like that in the long run probably pay more than the short burst cash grab microtransactions, right? Yeah. And I would like to crunch the numbers and look into it because then you have games like Fortnite, which that's all they make their money on.
Yeah, and it kind of leans into what this DLC pack for Fortnite, it would be like what this season offers. Mm-hmm. But that's still an economy based on microtransactions.
Right.
They make the most. I think last year was something like $1 billion in microtransactions, which is fucking insane.
Yeah, but also
without having a full release price.
It's hard to use that game as a really good barometer because that's the only way they make their money. They don't have unit sales. They don't have DLC. They don't have subscriptions. They don't have any other monetary cash flow for their product except for the microtransactions. That's why they're so heavily invested in it. Yeah. And so it's kind of hard to use them as a barometer for everybody else. But you have, I'm already paying $60 for Fallout 4 or for Fallout 76, and then I'm paying $30 a piece for each DLC that comes out, and then you're gonna pull some bullshit where you're selling Christmas special auction house stuff at a discounted rate when it's never even been sold before.
That was ridiculous. What they did in the Fallout 76 store.
It's just pure arrogance, and they're really just, like we've been saying this whole time, taking advantage of their loyal fan base because they let executives get into the creation room of all video games, not just Bethesda. They're not the only ones who are guilty of this.
No,
everyone is doing it.
It's become a bigger problem with them because they were hallmarked as like one of the great developers of our time, right? Like every game that came out, won a Game of the Year award.
Yeah.
Every single one. They've always,
if not multiple.
Yeah, and they've always taken their time with games. They've always treated the customers right, and that's been the main thing. And now I think they have that same syndrome that when PlayStation came on the market with PS3, where they started charging a ridiculous price, which was like $600 for the PS3.
Yeah, and then Xbox units went up in sales because it was $100, $200
they're
cheaper.
just, I think they're becoming very arrogant, and they're becoming very lazy.
And why wouldn't they? I mean, everybody just shuts up and throws their money at them.
I mean, yeah, and to be totally fair, to just kind of play both sides a little, at this point, after all this hard work they've done, after all they have acquired, I will say that, sure, you guys have done all this over 2 decades. You deserve a little bit extra profit, but don't do this at the expense of your most diehard fans.
I don't necessarily agree with the one statement you said there, which is they deserve this extra profit. They don't deserve the extra profit. They make a game and they sell it for $60, and if it's good enough, they will make what they have earned.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And that's it. This whole expectation that we should be paying more is...
No, I don't agree with that at all. I'm saying that their work over a couple decades is they definitely deserve more than what they've been
I don't think
getting.
that's what I'm saying. I don't think they deserve it, and I think that is the syndrome though that their arrogance is fueling. Like, oh, we're Bethesda. We've made Fallout 3 one of the greatest games of all time. We made Elder Scrolls one of the greatest series of all time for fantasy games, RPGs. You know, we have the renown. We should be taking all their money, and it's that attitude that's feeding the syndrome. Not just with them, for all games. I mean, you even look at Red Dead Redemption 2, Game of the Year, best game besides probably God of War 2. And that game is riddled with server issues and microtransaction issues. They're even at fault. And the fact that we're not talking about them because they actually made a good game kind of speaks to that point, right? Like, we're letting them get away with these things because, oh, they made a good game. And if they didn't make a good game, we're using it as just another reason to bash them. But we should be uninhibited on
this is another reason why, like, we podcast, we have the community that we do, because there's a line that developers should not cross, and Bethesda's been consistently crossing that for years at this point.
Yeah.
And now is the point where we as gamers have to be vocal, and we have to vote with our wallets.
Yeah.
And we have to be smart, especially in the way that they're like, just look at Fallout 76, man.
God, I can't believe how much of a nightmare that game is.
It drops. It has a day one patch that's the same size as the game. Okay, no problem. But then we continue. Half of those bugs were not addressed.
Yep.
There's still lag. There's still clipping. There's screen tearing, and there's frame rate drops all over the place. They were not ready, and I believe I told you about this. I was told months in advance that they were having server issues, and we were talking about 6 months out. And I said from that point that this game was going to be in bad shape. I did not think it was going to be this bad.
Yeah, I didn't either. And really, and you had also said something to me that I had kind of believed in too. You said this game will be good in about a year. And I don't necessarily believe that anymore. When you said
neither do I.
When you said, because I really don't think they care. And then they had all the debacle with like the pre-order.
The canvas bag.
The canvas bag.
Yeah, where they send some piece of shit nylon bag.
Yeah, and then they gave them in-game currency that was like worth $5.
Yeah, it's in like real world value is $5, and it can't even get you the balls on these dudes to offer you this.
Who is their marketing strategist? That's what I want to know.
But
and Jim Sterling, I watched his show on talking about loot boxes, and he makes a really good analogy, and he talks about the developers are always pushing the envelope in every aspect of game developing, whether it's graphics, play style, controls, mechanics, the engine, marketing strategies, how you're selling your game, what you're including to buy in your game, all that stuff. They're always pushing the envelope, and you are able to push the envelope until you get pushback. And that's what's happening this past 2 years in all games. The whole gaming industry has been pushing as far as they can when it comes to reaching into your wallets and seeing what they can grab. And now we're finally pushing back, and everybody's getting all high and mighty, acting like it's a fucking surprise.
My biggest issue with all of this is the fact that you have high-profile devs and publishers that are kind of taking these weird actions that they would have never taken 5-10 years ago, and they're starting to cause a problem. And the reason, like, we're gonna keep mentioning Jim Sterling is because he makes a great point. Like, he
makes a lot of great points.
Yeah, of course. But now it's coming to the point where they're not going to be able to keep pushing this monetary system any further. Now it's going to get pushed back, and we're going to have an even bigger problem because this behavior is just completely abhorrent bullshit. And now we're going to end up getting regulations because these people can't keep their dick in their fucking
It's true.
pants.
And then that's how just American business has been ever since its inception. Corporations will try to take advantage of their customer base and their employees until the government says, hey, you can't do that, or we're going to fine the shit out of you. And the government loves it when that happens because then they get revenue to spend money on whatever the revenue is going to go to. And all it's going to do is hinder us. And it's really going to also, because one of the loot box arguments is that, oh, you're obstructing art. But
no, fuck out of here. This is
right,
not art.
And whether you agree with that sentence or not, and if you do, in my opinion,
it's
you're
objective.
naive.
It's objectively that's not art.
Anyway, but that's just a completely different topic of discussion. But what you do is when you hide behind the veil of inhibiting my artistic creation, what you do is you give whatever entity is able to regulate you power to say, you know what, maybe art isn't something that's that important anymore, and then it's always going to be regulated, and then you're going to have just stricter guidelines, and it's a rabbit hole we don't need to be going down.
I don't think that's necessarily what they'll do. What they'll do is they'll take a second look at the gaming industry and be like, you know what, we don't consider any of this art. We don't consider what any type of approach is art in gaming whatsoever. There's going to be a point, and I think, like I said to you the other day, I think it's coming soon. There's going to be a regulation. Games are gonna be jumped up to $80 a pop.
Yeah.
The developers are going to see that there's going to be a massive dip on launch day and launch week sales, and what they're going to do is they're going to start parceling out the games.
Yep.
So instead
games
of
will become shorter.
So like how they have those memes with back in the 90s, you could get the whole hamburger with lettuce, tomato, mayo, and then you have the option of ketchup and mustard as DLC. Now it's going to be, you're going to get the buns and the fucking burger, and you're going to have to pay for literally every other part of it.
Yep.
You're going to get a game like The Last of Us.
So like any New York City restaurant.
Yes, exactly. So like The Last of Us Part 2 is going to come out, and you'll probably
have to pay
most of the game.
Maybe, and you know what? It might not even be $80 per game, but it might be $60 for part 1 of the game.
Yeah,
$60 for part 2 of the game. I think that is probably the happy medium between the two. Either they'll still release full games and it'll be a higher price tag, or it'll be the same price tag for less content. And that's not even close to okay either.
No. Something coming, like, especially from my favorite game developer and my favorite publisher, Bethesda. This is not.
I would say Bethesda's not my favorite anymore.
Well, I'm still with them until they really. If Elder Scrolls 6 comes out and it's a fucking shit show, I will be extremely vocal about that. But up until that point, I will be supporting them. But because of these actions now, there's going to be a microscope on the industry.
Absolutely.
They're going to be checked out. And Fallout 76 was a fucking disaster. Okay. All these Elder Scrolls remakes are honestly unnecessary.
It's exhausting just to look at.
Yeah. And
you know,
now everybody's worried about even Doom, because Doom is in production. We know that they're not developing the game, but they're publishing it, which means that after the fact, they can go in and chop up pieces and be like, now you're going to have to buy these. They might, and to be honest, I think it's going to happen because they had that whole Forge system where you were able to make the maps and such. I believe that that's going to end up being absolved. No, it's going to be absolved into the Creation Club. And Bethesda's going to tag the Creation
Club
to
DLC.
To everything. But then you're going to see it like Doom 2, the next Wolfenstein game, and Prey will have an additional Creation Club. And I'm not 100% on if they have it now. I know they have DLCs and extra stuff in Doom, but I'm pretty sure they don't have the Creation Club as of yet. But that's the logical next step. And the fact of the matter being that at some point it's going to hurt them. And it's already starting to show. Like with Fallout 76, the user base is very low. People are still trying to make, gold out of shit, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
No matter what they do, the best approach is to take the approach they took with Elder Scrolls Online.
Completely
start doing
just completely redo it.
Start remaking stuff. Your commerce is fucked because not only can you not fix the developer room hack, you can't stop these people from selling weapons online.
Well, oh God, what's his name? Boosh or Boosh? Boogie. He suggested a server wipe, and I think it's
gonna take more than that.
No, they need a server wipe. A server wipe is gonna erase everything that's uploaded to the server.
Right.
Then they can rewrite their code, take the developer room out of it, and then reinstall it onto the server. Refund everybody whatever refund you're gonna give them because you ruined their fucking experience and took their money, took advantage of them. They need to just be willing to take the monetary hit, and really, I don't think they are.
What they need to do, I think, that will not happen, absolutely will not happen, is give everybody a refund who got the game. Even a partial refund will be fine. And from this point forward, you make the game free to play until you get your shit together. Because not only does this game look like an early 2000s Bethesda game, I don't know if you've seen the blast.
Oh yeah, now the nukes don't work.
Well, no, that was
that
was for a couple days. They didn't work for a couple days, but the blast itself looks like it's from a computer game from like 98 or 99. Okay, the game doesn't look good. The game does not play good. It has zero fucking stability. Your economy is shattered. The game's just so broken to the point where anyone can jump in.
Yeah, your software is just a mess.
Yeah, anyone can jump in and take advantage of the system. This, at the end of the day,
and then you have people who you're not even making money off of them. These people are taking advantage and preying on your customer base even further.
They've made their money back. They've made their money back on what they spent on the game and then some. And they'll still write you a shitty review. And they're lining their fucking pockets with money, and you're getting nothing. Bethesda, fix your shit.
Or get rid of it. It's like, listen, and like I said, keep talking about the arrogance of the gaming industry. They're unwilling to do what the Culling did, which was they put out a really shitty game that was a cash grab, and it failed, and they just let the game die. And Bethesda has too much arrogance to be able to willing to make that decision.
The Culling 2 was a totally different scenario. They came out with an original game that's very different from what was offered on the market at the time. And then when they made the sequel, they basically made PUBG but shittier, which I don't even know how the fuck that's possible.
Right, but you look at what Bethesda did. Bethesda has created a lot of great original games. And then they see the whole MMO, online, microtransaction, business working, and they try to emulate it and copy it and put their own little Fallout flair on it. And it does miserable because they didn't put the right money and resources into it. They didn't put the right development team on it. They didn't have enough time to test and create a good game. Not to mention the platform that they were standing on was already shitty from the beginning. And that's what I see it as. They took a trendy, not great idea and really just did the worst job at it, and they're unwilling. And I think they're unwilling to say that this is a bad game. We should maybe either like completely redo it, refund people, whatever, or just let the game die and take the loss. Then
they'll be fine. They'll be totally okay.
I don't know if they will.
Of course they will. No, I mean if Fallout 76, if they were to come out and be like this was an abject failure, they'd be fine. And
if they came out with Elder Scrolls 6 and knocked it out of the park, maybe.
Sure. No, I'm just saying just looking ahead. If they were to drop 76 and be like, "Hey, this game was a failure. We're going to shut down the servers and we're going to refund everybody their money." They take that loss, they'd still be fine. I'm talking about economically. They would be fine.
Definitely.
And they could just move on to the next thing. The problem now lies in the fact that if they have not upgraded, but I'm almost certain that I've read a few articles here and there from certain sources saying that they have taken the foundation of the creation engine and they've updated aspects of it. Now, let's just say, for argument's sake, that they haven't done that. And Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, and it's in the same state that these Bethesda games come out in normally, which is massive bugs, game-breaking glitches, and then they have to patch it. If it even comes out in that state, they are fucked.
Yep.
It's over.
Yep.
Nobody gives a shit if you're going to start releasing Elder Scrolls games for $20, if you're going to give people in-store credits, if you're going to release a Doom game every year. It doesn't matter because at this point, not only has your press been bad for 3 years in a row, but you're going to get to a point where you take your flagship game, your original title, the only thing that's left to your name, and you're going to tank it? No. That's not happening.
Good luck, Bethesda.
Especially the amount of money that they spend on Elder Scrolls, expecting to make back quadruple, whatever it is. I'm sure they make like a 10,000% profit on Elder Scrolls games because they're ridiculous. Everybody talks about them, even when they're not even out. Like, this is the first time in the cycle an Elder Scrolls game has not come out 5 years after the last. Now the pressure's really on them. Bethesda, fix your shit because I can't take this anymore. Because if I have to play a game like Dark Souls where it's only combat and there's nothing else to hold me in there, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind.
Everybody, just let us know what you think about the state of Bethesda down below. We're gonna take a quick commercial break, move on to our next segment, but first a word from our lovely sponsors at roll4dice.com.
Fix your shit, Bethesda. Fix it now.
You guys have made Tommy mad.
I'm very upset.
Now, and you ruined my life.
I've bought every single one of your products for like 15 years. Shit is ridiculous.
Nothing more needs to be said.
Roll4dice.com is a monthly subscription where you can pick up tons of dice, miniatures, even some Legos, and the great little trinkets that they supply you monthly. Look at that sexiness. These guys came up with a brilliant idea to get people on a monthly subscription. So instead of going around perusing at stores, having to interact with human beings, you can just pick them up on their Patreon. And it's lovely. You can get 4 sets, you can get minis. They just supply you with everything you need.
I get kind of sick of going online to Etsy and trying to find specific users and everything, but they have it all right there on their website. And it's great to have that.
So don't forget to check out roll4dice.com and their accompanying Patreon. All the links will be down below.
Welcome back from the break, guys. Still wondering where Tom is. He was a little upset at the end of our last segment, but we're going to roll into our next lovely segment, Evil Campaigns. All right. Originally, we were going to talk about another thing, but we've decided to change it last second.
You know what? And one other thing.
You know what? No, we're not doing this right now.
We're not doing
We're going. We're done.
Bethesda.
We're done talking about Bethesda. Okay. Don't get your panties in a bunch. We're gonna move on.
You finished without me?
I
just walked away for 10 seconds.
No, it was not 10 seconds. Look at you. You changed your shirt and everything.
Yeah, I did. I was angry.
You felt dirty, didn't you, talking about them bastards over at Bethesda?
No, I was just so blind with rage that I ripped my shirt.
Speaking of blind rage, we're going to be talking about something that's...
How did that just work?
A lot funner than Bethesda, and that is Evil Campaigns.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
What do you think about Evil Campaigns, Tommy?
So I love the thought of doing Evil Campaigns. I haven't gotten to do one yet.
Oh, okay.
So I would really love to, and that's kind of one of the things I wanted to first do, jumping into D&D, but never got a chance to do it.
Yeah, definitely don't recommend doing an Evil Campaign your first time out.
That'd probably be a weird experience.
Well, it's not that it's a weird experience. It's just that is doing Evil Campaigns and having evil characters in PvP. There's so much conflict there, morality wise and stuff like that. You have to make sure you're with the right group for sure. But they can be a lot of fun. You can get a lot of hijinks, and
hijinks is to say the least.
Yeah,
you can go on murder sprees.
Well, murder sprees, they lose their luster. I always tell people get certain things out of their system. Like one of the tropes is I'm gonna seduce the bar wench, right? Just let them do it. Let them get it out of their system. Everybody just wants to do the things because you literally can do whatever you want in this game, or at least attempt to.
Basically, yeah. And with an Evil Campaign, I think that opens up a whole nother dimension of options. Dude, there's just so many things you can do being evil.
Yeah.
Just terrorizing citizens, creating these grand plans. And there was another thing that I thought of too is you don't necessarily have to be evil to run an evil campaign.
Absolutely.
You could be doing all these things for good that are kind of just aiding your master plan.
Right. And that's one of the coolest things just about role-playing games in general is there's so many different levels to how you can approach playing a specific themed game. It's the same for evil campaigns. You don't necessarily need to be the evil demon lord that's trying to take over the material plane, right? You can be a group of mercenaries who really don't care about who's in power. They're just taking the most money that they can. For all you Firefly fans out there, for example, Jane is a really good example of a complex evil character.
Okay.
Right? His whole thing is he's just a mercenary for hire, and he takes the most pay, and he always tells Malcolm, when the money's good enough, I will betray you.
Wow, at least he's upfront about it.
Yeah, he's but then he realizes and changes over the course of the show that he actually cares about these people and all those different things. So there's a lot of different like cool narrative experiences you can have with an evil campaign. Just being like the I don't care about the overall good of the world mercenary. You can also play like a wizard trying to achieve lichdom. You might not necessarily be an objectively evil person, but that pursuit will make you evil.
For sure.
Like if the group is coming together. Stuff like that.
Especially if you're trying to keep it from your group, right?
Yeah.
Like something like that. I think that adds another layer to it. I think, honestly, one of the coolest things the coolest ideas to me about running an evil campaign, it has to be that there's no fear of consequences in a campaign like that. Like you'll still kind of be a little concerned with them, but not so much as if you were running a regular campaign. I just feel like the evil character, the prototypical evil character, would just like do what he or she needs to do to achieve their goals no matter what. And those consequences will obviously still be there, but they won't care, or they'll have enough power to overcome them very easily.
Well, it depends on the character you're playing. I mean, like you might be a cold, calculating mastermind, and you have figured out, like Darth Sidious, for example, is a really good example of an evil character who does all of these things that look like they're good, and he's manipulating the whole Galactic Senate, and he's making himself look like this really good guy, but really he's just an evil, conniving, manipulative son of a bitch.
Bastard.
And, playing an evil character that way is really cool. One of the streams that I watch is on the Saving Throw Show channel. Check them out. They're really great. They've been going for a long time. On their Strahd game, one of the players plays a lawful evil wizard who actually is like he's like the spokesperson for Strahd. He like kind of like spreads word about Strahd. He's actually
Really?
like not so bad, and like not having Strahd in the world, was it Ravenloft? And Ravenloft is a bad thing. It's actually worse without him. That's like kind of his whole angle.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of really cool things, but that's an example of one player being evil, where we're talking about the whole party's going into the game, and the DM is creating a game where the experiences, you guys are all rotten in some sort of way. And I can't stress this enough. Your session 0 has to be pretty like wide open for this to be a successful experience. It's like in any D&D game, you have to be okay with your characters dying. I think is one of the hardest things for new players or certain people just in general to kind of wrap their head around. When I was playing D&D, sometimes you'd roll 3 characters in a night.
Jesus, wow.
Because you're playing with a hardcore group and things just don't go your way, and you try to do something epic and you die.
Yeah. That's just the nature of D&D, though.
It used to be, and now it's kind of not. Now it's kind of like a heightening of your own personal fantasy, and it's more about the story more than the game rolling out randomly, and fudging the dice more often and things like that.
That's very true.
So we're just in a different climate. But really, it just comes down to having a really good session 0 with a group that you trust and players that aren't going to do things to spite you, to elevate their own character.
Yeah. Also, quick note, I've never lost a character.
Wow. Then you've never truly played D&D.
No, Why? I loved all my characters. I almost lost one of my first characters in the first 2 weeks I was playing. Like it came down to I'd failed 2 saves.
Right.
And I was about to go down, and that's where the clear dice really showed their Shaggy-esque powers.
Oh yes, the new Shaggy memes are all over the place, and I'm loving it. My next evil campaign will be the Scooby Gang, and Shaggy is your evil overlord.
Oh my god, that's great.
And your enemy is Woody from Toy Story.
Yeah, that's dope.
Which is the new addition to the meme. But anyway, another thing I really like about evil campaigns is that they're really fun to do when you're trying to get back to that old style of play, because they really do cater to murder hoboism.
Yeah.
Most evil campaigns divulge into murder hoboism, which can be a good or a bad thing. If you're trying to have the narrative experience, you have to make sure that you're keeping everything on the rails and not just saying, "Well, I'm evil, I would do that." Like, there's levels to evil. Watch.
There's definitely levels to evil.
Right, like just watch Game of Thrones. Right, like there are a lot of characters in there who are evil, but like they're relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Like their means, they think, are justifying their goals that they believe are justifying their means. For example, or another good example is like Thanos.
Yeah.
Thanos believes that what he's doing is good.
And it's for the good of the
it's
universe.
for the good of the universe, but what he is doing is evil. He's doing evil acts to do it, and he's on his evil campaign to get his good done. So, I feel like as long as you're attacking an evil campaign like that, then you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, like evil campaigns are can be extremely layered experiences, and I think I don't know if many people think about this. I'm sure there are people, but one of the most important layers of the evil campaigns to me personally is the fact that you're going to have like a kind of internal moral struggle, not only with your character, but I think between you as a person and your character. It's like I know we can all understand and separate ourselves from the game, where it's kind of like, okay, this is what my character is going to do. I don't like it, but this is what's going to happen. But I think at certain points, it'll become a bit too much. And
at that point, you have to metagame a little bit. You have to curb your reactions to either for the betterment of the story or for the overall like climate of the party, of the group, because you don't necessarily want to be pissing players off because you're taking things off the rails, and you don't want to necessarily piss off different characters because that might actually stunt what your character is trying to do. And
it could.
And really you're just kind of focusing on like, oh, I'm evil, I'm going to do this evil thing. It makes sense that I would do it, but like maybe think about it a little deeper and curb it a little bit. I think it's just always good to have that thought process. And if you're playing with the right group, all the players should be on board with everything that you're doing. And really, as long as you're not really like attacking specific players on things for like, and then you're just like making up reasons to do it, I think.
Well, I mean, that depends on your character, right? So like if you were playing a character, if you modeled one of your evil characters after, let's say, the Joker. The Joker is a completely, no matter how you look at it, right? He's a completely chaotic character.
Right.
I don't even necessarily know if he would be an evil character. He would just be the most chaotic thing of all time.
He's definitely evil. He's definitely chaotic evil.
Well, the only reason I say that is because he can go off on a whim at any point and just be like, I'm going to do this to like bring some chaos into wherever I am.
That's true, but he is also very calculated.
In certain points, yes.
In most points, like he'll do certain things on a whim, but on a smaller scale. His grand plan is very calculated, and he has specific reasons for why he's doing things. But I would also argue that the Joker concept as a character is actually not a very conducive type of player character to actually bring to the table.
Because
only because he is so chaotic and radical that the DM it's hard for the DM to prepare for it. It's hard for players to DM for it, and it's going to create tension at the table, which is another one of the cons of playing an evil campaign is the tension that your idiot actions will bring among the players. The main thing is the whole party just needs to be on the same page with what everybody's doing. And if the whole party knows that you're going to be like randomly doing these crazy things and that, you know, they're okay with it, then they should know what they signed up for and have a little bit of a tough skin for it.
Wow.
Watch it, baby.
A really bad one.
Watch out for these pretty little things.
I know, seriously.
No, it really depends on what you guys establish in your session 0. And actually, like in the specific case, I would be writing down all the things everybody agrees on.
Yeah, you would need rules, like very strict rules, I think, because you're gonna be going past a line that most D&D games don't go past.
Exactly.
So you gotta create like, okay, this is the hard boundary.
Yep.
Like no murdering children.
Right. No rape scenes. Like, fade to black.
Like none of that shit. And even there even has to be an understanding. That's why I brought up that Joker character for a reason, because I feel like just the chaoticness, that would be the wrong way to go about it. I think something like even having a flaw, right? One simple tiny thing, having a flaw. My character likes to kill for fun.
Right, like a Dexter character.
No, that's not even Dexter. That's a totally different thing. That's a totally. Dexter's attempting to be able to feed his dark needs by staying within the law and also writing the system.
But he still likes to kill. He does it because he enjoys it.
But I'm saying that's surrounded by a very rigid code. So if you were to just interject a character,
right, he's more of a lawful evil.
Yes, definitely,
100%.
Yeah. But if you were to interject a character that just likes to kill for fun, I'm thinking. That's why I said Joker. So I'm thinking you and your whole group sitting down at the table, and the Joker is just listening to this bullshit, and he doesn't really like what's going on. Whoever's talking, and let's just say your fighter is talking, and he's making up this whole grand plan to make this scheme to go around the back of the kingdom or whatever. The Joker just decides, you know what? I don't like this guy anymore. I'm just gonna kill him.
But the Joker, even the Joker doesn't really do that, and that's
sure
what I'm saying.
Sure, he does.
No, but like I said, he's very calculated about it, and so like for instance,
no, but I'm thinking
he's not going to put himself in a scenario where he doesn't have the upper hand. Like in every situation he is in with Batman, when Batman gets him, he knows Batman can't kill him. He knows that he has put Batman in this predicament where he has to choose between his goodness and his morality versus ending his evil. And he knows that. And so that's what he's basing his plans off of. And you really, I think, if you wanted to do it like a Joker type character, and we're just going off on a tangent about your example,
yeah.
But like if you were going to do that and introduce that type of character into the game, I would think you would have to kind of change a couple of things about him to make him more feasible to play within the group over a long run. Now, if you're doing things like a one shot or anything like that where it's going to be done in the end of the night, I wouldn't change anything. Like that would be great. Like in the past Critical Role Christmas episode, Travis Willingham's character betrayed the whole party and tried to kill Santa at the end. Like that was like amazing. But like over a long game, that type of betrayal might become problematic. Now, obviously not in their group because they're all cool with each other and he would just roll up a new character.
I'm just thinking of not like Joker and Endgame. My specific example is in the beginning of The Dark Knight when he's kind of working his way through the mafia family. So my thing is, or not through the mafia family, but through all the crime organizations in Gotham.
But he doesn't do that betrayal until the very end when he knows he's going to succeed.
No, he's still picking apart certain parts of them.
Right, subtly.
He's taking out criminal organizations that he needs to take out.
Yes, in a very calculated fashion.
And that's what I'm thinking. When it's him sitting with the group, he's thinking, okay, some of these people need to go. Some of them I can use.
Yeah, how can I set that up?
Right, so he would go through piece by piece. And that's... See, the concept seems really, really cool to me. But unless you have a talk and be like, listen... I'm going to have to kill your character at some point.
Or I'm going to attempt to.
Yeah, I'm going to attempt to. So I would, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to have an extra character rolled up.
Yeah.
Don't get too attached. And
right.
Are you okay with this?
Yeah. Because and if the other player isn't cool with it, then you should take it off the table.
Yeah, but it's
sure.
Like we keep saying, like everybody needs to understand, you have to have the best session zero possible.
And you have to really trust the group, and you have to understand that the players are going to respect your wishes for sure.
Because more than anything, like there's going to be a lot of killing, obviously, but more than anything, I think an Evil campaign is so well suited for a very deep and complex narrative
and an experienced D&D group, because sometimes just being in the monotony of the same type of fantasy over and over again gets boring, and you really want to be able to spice up your love life with the game. You know what I mean?
And I always think the ideal approach I have for an Evil campaign would be going through a very long campaign first, like with our characters. We'll take them for 2 years. And then I think the coolest thing would be having your past group going after your current group.
Oh, yeah, recycling PCs.
In terms of trying to stop them.
It's a very common practice. A lot of people do that, especially in like... if the DM, if you have like the same DM and all of the campaigns kind of take place in the same world.
Yeah.
It's really cool to like use all that built up lore because you don't have to do as much work. All the work's done for you, and it's more ingrained in like what the players know.
Yeah.
And what their characters would know, and it's just easier for you to make that connection.
You wouldn't need to have such a drastic jump or learn over a long period of time. You know the world, you know the group that's coming after you, you know what your goal is as a group and what your goal is as an individual, so you can kind of just get in there and fucking play.
I've done that a few times with like 1 or 2 characters. I've never had like a party hunt down an evil party. I've never run an evil campaign. I've been a player in them.
We need to do it, man.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea for sure. I've had a lot of fun playing in them. The last evil player I played like literally just the most bloodthirsty barbarian. His goal was to be the greatest warrior ever, and he didn't care who he had to kill to do it.
How we did it, yeah.
Yeah, and he ended up achieving it. He ended up like hunting down all the great like sword masters and killing them.
Yeah, that's dope.
Which was a lot of fun.
Fuck. That's so cool. Actually.
Yeah, and like you can do it, and like even just playing like the morally gray campaign, like there's just so many ranges of it. The whole thing is
morally gray. I think is kind of where most D&D campaigns live. I feel like that's where they definitely are the strongest.
I think it's a misconception.
I don't think so,
because a lot of people are like, oh, murder hobos are morally gray. Murder hobos are pure chaotic evil.
Yeah.
Morally gray. Like there are a lot of parties that get there, but I think just the perception of them is murder hoboism, but it's not. It's the whole like morally gray campaign. I think is more in connection with like good cinema and TV shows, and like what those evil characters or like middle of the road characters are doing. And I think that most D&D games are actually more polarizing. Either you're good or you're evil or you're a murder hobo. And like there's kind of no middle ground. And if there is a middle ground, it's being missubscribed to the wrong topic. If that makes sense.
I don't know. I think back to when we played Minds of Fendelver, and I think our entire group was pretty morally gray. Like we were not.
Maybe your character definitely was.
No, my character was fucking evil. Like let's just fucking
he
get
was
that.
Kind of a dick.
I based my original prototype for Vivek was Dexter.
Yeah.
Which is why I know that was brought up. Vivek, he was supposed. I really wanted to play this very challenging and complex character to kind of drive it in, but I knew at some point that it was going to kind of get out of hand.
Yeah.
Just because of how he operates, it would. It's something I was already prepared for in the long run.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of actions that we took that are super, super morally gray. Like knowing full well when we were having that conversation with the dragon, like we knew what was gonna happen. Like if it didn't go our way, we knew what was gonna happen, but we did it anyways.
No, I don't think I knew that he was gonna send the dragon after Phandelver. I mean, I also hadn't planned on
go after.
Yeah, I also hadn't planned on really robbing the dragon until you started rummaging through the treasure. Because our whole thing was we were just trying to send him to kill the dragon cultists.
Yes.
But Vivek had ulterior motives.
Still also a morally gray decision that we made.
Not really. The cultists are evil.
The cultists are evil in like kind of a sense, but at the same time,
I mean, they sacrifice innocent people to evil dragons of chaos.
So what we did,
dragons are evil beings.
So we sent the object of their worship to go kill them, to murder them, and we knew what was going to happen. And it was, granted, yes, they were bad people, but is it our call to not only have like their sect of religion come crumbling down?
Well, you can make that argument to literally everything you do and everything in life.
We sent their god to kill them, Nathan.
Well, he's technically not their god. Their god is Tiamat. Okay,
it's one of their gods.
Lore up on your shit, bro.
They fucking worship dragons.
It's true, but like I said, the bottom line is
we also stole from merchants, and we tried to.
No, we definitely did some more. We did some morally
people.
gray things, but like I would say that Nora's character was good. Like her whole thing was like
she just likes killing though.
No, so her whole thing, I mean, like actually, you and her were pretty morally gray, but her character was pretty good. Her whole thing was like she's the mom of the group. She wants to do right because she was manipulated by the evil orcs that she was, raised by. And then, my character was just trying to find where the fuck her brother went, and also is like a traveling performer. And like, sure, you do morally gray things, but overall, unless you're not breaking the, tenets of good that are generally agreed upon by everybody, then you're considered good. And if you're like I would say, like, if you're doing something good but you're willing to like kill children to do it, that's morally gray.
No, that's fucking evil.
But what if like I kill,
No, that's just evil.
No, listen, if I kill these 5 children but 100 million people are saved,
it's still
how
a morally great decision because you're ending these children's lives.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's a morally gray decision.
But the fact
if that was kill this evil man to save these millions of people, that's objectively good.
It's not morally gray. No. So that's if you were to kill an adult, if it's like, hey, we have to kill this adult to save these people. Okay, that's a morally great decision, but it's for the greater good, so it has to be done.
It's an objectively good act.
If you're saying you have to kill these children to save the world, that's an evil act, regardless of the good that you're doing, because you're murdering children.
That's where the moral gray is that line.
Yeah.
And when you're towing the line of what is good and what is not good objectively to the greater good or to the minor good or whatever you're trying to decipher, those are the morally gray moments that are really fun to really exploit for your game.
Absolutely.
But what do you guys think? Have you ever played an Evil game? How did it go? Was it good? Was it bad? Did you not really like it? Just give us all your comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Pour this link out to all your friends. And remember to keep the good games rolling.
And roll for it, baby.
A 3.
That's pathetic.
You know what?
Pathetic.
You roll some fucking dice.
Okay.
How about that? I'm sick of being the only one where has all this pressure.
Natural 20. Look at that. That's incredible.
That's a 10. Don't let him deceive you.